Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Explorers. I'm Lily.
And I'm Haroon. We're your guides on this exciting journey to becoming more confident and natural English speakers.
That's right, Haroon. And today, we're diving into something that can instantly make your English sound more authentic and fluent. Contractions and linking words.
Contractions and linking words. They might seem small, but they make a huge difference, don't they? It's like the secret sauce to sounding less like a textbook and more like a native speaker.
Exactly. If you've ever listened to native speakers and thought, why do they sound so smooth and connected? Chances are they're using contractions and linking words effectively.
So, let's break it down. What exactly are contractions?
Well, contractions are basically when we shorten two words into one by omitting some letters and using an apostrophe. Think of words like don't instead of do not, or I'm instead of I am.
Right, those are pretty common. But sometimes, when people are learning, they might stick to the full forms because they seem more correct.
And that's understandable. But in everyday spoken English, contractions are everywhere. Using them will make you sound much more natural.
Can you give us some more examples, Lily?
Sure. Instead of saying he is going to the store, we usually say he's going to the store. Or instead of we will see you later, it's we'll see you later.
See? Much smoother, and it saves time when you're speaking.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about linking words. What are those, Haroon?
Linking words are when we connect the sounds at the end of one word to the beginning of the next word. It makes the flow of speech much more connected and less choppy.
That's a great way to put it. It's like the words are holding hands. For example, instead of saying go out with a clear pause between go and out, native speakers often link it to sound like go out.
Or how about look at it? It often sounds like look at it.
Exactly. And this happens a lot, especially when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound.
It can be a bit tricky to get the hang of at first, though.
It can be, but practice makes perfect. One good way to practice is by listening carefully to native speakers and trying to mimic how they connect their words.
So, how can our listeners start practicing these?
Well, for contractions, start by becoming more aware of them when you're listening to English. Pay attention to movies, TV shows, podcasts like this one, and notice how often contractions are used. Then, consciously try to use them in your own speaking.
And for linking words, listening is key. Try listening to short phrases and focusing on how the sounds connect. You can even try repeating those phrases slowly at first, focusing on linking the sounds.
Another great tip is to read aloud. When you read aloud, try to connect the words as you would in natural speech.
And don't be afraid to sound a little silly at first. It takes time to get comfortable with these things.
That's so true, Haroon. It's all about practice and being patient with yourself. The more you focus on contractions and linking words, the more natural your English will sound.
We've got a great exercise for you guys to try this week. Listen to a short clip of a native speaker talking maybe a news report or a short interview, and try to identify as many contractions and linked words as you can.
And if you want to take it a step further, try transcribing the clip and writing out the full forms of the contractions and where the linking occurs.
That's a fantastic idea, Lily. It really helps you train your ear.
So remember, don't underestimate the power of contractions and linking words. They are essential for achieving a more natural and fluent sound in English.
Before we wrap up, Lily, let's give our listeners a few more useful phrases to add to their vocabulary.
Great idea, Haroon. Let's start with to get the gist of.
To get the gist of. That's a great one for language learners. It means to understand the main point or general idea of something, even if you don't understand every single detail.
Exactly. So, if you're listening to a conversation or watching a movie, and you don't understand every word, don't panic. You can still get the gist of what's being said. For example, you could say, I didn't understand all the vocabulary, but I got the gist of the story.
Or, even though the speaker was talking fast, I managed to get the gist of his argument. Now, how about to brush up on?
To brush up on means to review or improve your knowledge of something, especially something you haven't used for a while. It's like polishing something that's gotten a little dusty.
Right. We all need to brush up on our skills from time to time. You might say, I need to brush up on my grammar before the exam. Or, I'm brushing up on my English speaking by listening to podcasts.
And finally, let's talk about to wrap up. We've used it a few times in this episode.
To wrap up means to finish or conclude something. It's often used when talking about meetings, presentations, or even conversations, like this one.
Exactly. You could say, let's wrap up the discussion and move on to the next topic. Or, we're about to wrap up the podcast, but don't worry, we'll be back with more tips next week.
So, to recap, to get the gist of, to brush up on, and to wrap up. 3 great phrases for our listeners to add to their English toolkit.
We hope that helps you, English explorers. Remember, don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on getting the gist, brush up on your skills, and we'll wrap up for today.
And as always, keep practicing and keep exploring the English language.
That's all for today's episode of English Explorers.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, let us know in the comments below.
We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring the English language.
Happy learning!